Hi, my name's Mel. I am the owner and co-founder of Ninety2 Automotive, and we are the winners of the leading e-commerce platform in the Automotive Industry Awards.
Could you provide an overview of your career journey that ultimately led to you becoming the owner and founder of Ninety2 Automotive, along with a brief description and history of the business?
Sure. So I went to university. I really desperately wanted to set up my own business. I have done since I was a little girl. I wanted to be a biscuit maker. That was what my business was going to be. Turns out I can't bake. So that didn't exactly go to plan. But I'm quite a petrol head, and I wanted to do something business related to cars. Or when I left uni, to get a job in the automotive industry of some kind. And I quite enjoyed the photography, so I've been doing it since about 2008. I must have been about 14, 15 at the time. So I picked up my first camera, which I've still got, and just took pictures at car shows, mostly of Ford Capris and Mustangs and the odd Audi Quattro when I saw them. And then as the years went by, I just kind of got better at it. It was very much a hobby. It was never going to be anything more than that. And then I started a job at a car sales company as a merchandiser. So I was very much doing a little bit of marketing things. You know, I'd spent years volunteering as a media manager, social media work, website development things, just volunteering at different companies, different industries and different institutes and things like that. So I was very much trying to get into a marketing role. Started doing the merchandising role, which was just taking photos of cars and uploading them to the website, creating all of the sort of content for that. And then I was told by someone I was working with at the time, you're really good at these photos, why don't you set up an Instagram so you've got somewhere to put them that's not your personal Facebook, so people can see them and enjoy them. I thought, okay, like I probably, that'd be nice to separate my personal from the car shows. So I started doing that, and then that ended up with a few thousand people following it. It started getting a bit of traction, and then I had the first person come to me and say, I want to buy a set of photos from this particular car show in Northampton. And it was the first sale I'd made of my photos, and I thought, oh, like they're good enough for somebody to pay for. I still talk to the person today as well. So we've known each other for a long time. We kind of bonded over the fact we had the same car. And, I see them every year at one of the motorsport events as well that we go to. And so they bought these photos. And then the next thing I know is I got people going, can you make me a sticker with your logo on it? I want to put it on my car. And I thought, that's a bit weird, but okay, I'll have a look at it and see what that's going to cost. And they said, oh, I'll pay for it and everything. I was like, yeah, fine, okay. So then I sold a few stickers. A few people said, oh, can I rep the brand and go out and tell people that I work with Ninety2? And I thought, there's no harm, just go for it, it's fine. I set Ninety2 up so that I could practice marketing, practice building a website, practice, learning how to do social media properly. That's kind of how it sort of started for me, from a personal development and professional development. That's all it was. And then I've got all these people saying they want to buy from me and they want to take my photography on, they want to work with me in some way. And I thought, okay, this is now starting to turn into a business. I better do something with my website. My original one I built in HTML code myself. It looked awful. But I built it myself and I was very proud of it, even though it was completely useless and it looked really bad. I've still got the files and I look at them regularly and remind myself how far this thing has come. So now I've got obviously the website with a shop on it. People now want to buy t-shirts, they want to buy stickers, they want to buy photos, canvases, all sorts of stuff through the website, which is really lovely. It wasn't really anything I ever thought was ever going to happen. Now I have to do t-shirt designs. I set up a YouTube channel so I could sort of talk about the cars and sort of position myself as a female in the automotive industry that knows what she's talking about. But it was a really good way of engaging with the sort of client base that I've got from a customer point of view, because they come for a photo shoot. Well, we can do a little video alongside. I've got a couple that I've got left to publish at the moment. One was a bike. We did the shoot last year. I just haven't had the time to edit the video, but it's like a nice way of to try and get that across, to say it's not just a photo shoot. You're going to come, we're going to eat donuts or biscuits depending on what the budget is allowing there. We'll get some amazing pictures, but we'll do a bit of filming. You can talk about your car, you can talk about your journey, and let me push you as well as you push me, because they'll obviously share everything. So it's like a nice way of getting some additional sort of marketing without having to do that much for it, other than actually edit the video, which takes hours. So in fact, it takes a lot longer than hours. So yeah, it was an accident. It wasn't supposed to be a business. It was supposed to be a professional development tool for me, learn how to do these things, and here we are. I don't want to think about how many years later. Probably 7 years since I set up the Instagram. About 7 years. With a business that's not won an award for a website and a shop that I've built, and no one else has had any involvement. That's fantastic for my general working life, but for 92, it's just been brilliant, unreal.
What challenges have you overcome as owner and founder of 92 Automotive, and what advice would you give to someone who is looking to enter the automotive industry?
Oh wow, there have been a lot of challenges. Learning HTML to build that first website, that was a challenge. It wasn't a challenge to let go of the first version of the website, that was, but to actually build it and know what to put on it. And, I was starting from effectively a blank page, and what do you put on there? What research, what are the competitors doing? What do people want to actually read? Where are they? How do I talk to them? Obviously I know roughly their language because I'm a petrol head myself as well. But then it's actually doing all of that, and now it's a business, is trying to make sure it's profitable. So what markets do I need to be in? Because the business to customer side of the business is really difficult. It's really tough, because especially with the cost of living crisis and COVID stopped a lot of my work, and I couldn't go to any car shows, I couldn't do any photo shoots. I was quite lucky coming out of COVID. I did get one photo shoot with a Sierra Cosworth. It was an RS 500. I don't even remember anymore. But it was one of like a very few of them. It was for a raffle. Turns out they didn't they weren't able to raffle the car. They ended up raffling the money or something. But then that went on to auction, and it was sold for £126,000, which is a lot of money. And I did that photo shoot. There have been times when it's been really humbling, the business and who I've been working with and who I've met through it. But I think the biggest challenge for me has been around mental health, is managing 92 on my own effectively, and trying to come up with these ideas and keep the business going. But also, this is my full-time, part-time job. I actually have a 9-to-5 role that I do of a day, and it's managing that, 92, friendships, social life, relationships, seeing my family, and making sure that I've got everything that I need to not completely break down. Which, and mental health, I know it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week as well, and it's caused a lot of reflections, and for me, that's been the biggest challenge, I think, is balancing everything and keeping myself afloat mentally. I do a lot of running. I've restarted that recently. I try and make time for myself, even if it's 20 minutes of a day, to go for a walk on my lunch break, or something small. It might just be sat down with a packet of custard creams in front of the TV just for half an hour, and just to center myself. I've gone through a lot of therapy, and over the years, and that's helped massively. But there are those times like winning this award was a massive highlight for me, and that challenge of my mental health, while it's always still there, the work that you've gone through and the challenges that you've sort of faced with it, it's been worth it for something. It was an amazing feeling to see the award come up. You've won, and I couldn't believe it. But then it's after that is, okay, now I've got to manage my mental health so that I don't go into overdrive and do too much with the business that I can't then mentally recover from that. So it's a massive balancing act, but it's been worth it.
What would you attribute as the main reason for your business's success, would you say?
I don't think there's like one main reason. So I had to think about that because there are so many things that have contributed to it. I mean, there have been times where I've been ready to give up, like massively give up with the business. You know, we were talking before at Christmas, I was thinking, do you know what, I'm done with it now. Like, I think it might be time. And I've had conversations with a few people that, because I run an ambassador team through Ninety2. It's typically around social media engagement, but there are, you know, I can always bounce ideas off a certain few of them and say, you know, I said, I think I'm done with this. And they said, don't do that. Like, carry on. Like, trust me, just keep going. You know, and those people especially have been massive part of the success, is because they just kept me going. There are times where I've really not wanted to. You know, my other half is the most supportive person for this business. Like, honestly, he's been so fantastic. But, you know, those conversations I'll have with him, and he's like, well, why do you want to give it up? Because you love it. And I'm like, yeah, I love it. It's really hard work sometimes. You know, and he's been wonderful throughout the whole thing. You know, he supports the business. You know, let's go here, take your camera. You know, days when I don't really feel like it, you know, I might have the camera with me and I won't take any photos, but it's been nice to get the day out sometimes, just us, you know, and just stop. And then you know, we do a lot of like track days and things together, and we always take the camera with us, you know, just in case they don't have a photographer, but also so that we can get our own memories from it, which is quite nice. So but the ambassador team's been a massive part of the success, because without them, you know, I certainly would have given up at Christmas, and this wouldn't have happened with the award. I think the hard work that generally I've had to put in with it, because I am on my own with it, that's been another big part of it. But then every single person that's purchased a photo, every single person that shared a social media post, you know, this is very much an award that those people have won as well. Because if they weren't buying things, I'd have no reason to have a shop. I'd have no reason to be selling merch. I'd have no reason for it, because nobody's buying anything. You know, they could just message me on Facebook, can I have that photo? Yeah, sure, it's a private, there you go. But because of them, I'm sat actually, how do I make this easier? You know, I've had so much feedback over the last however many years to say, okay, well, how does this work? You know, the shop, this is how I built it, and that's the easiest that I can do in my skills level. And they've said, oh, well, actually, it'd be really good to have this. Or can you do it like this? Because I'm getting a bit confused about this. And then I've gone, okay, right, how can I make that work? And while it might have taken me a bit longer because I'm trying to run the rest of my life, I've managed to do it. And had I have not got that feedback, had I have not found that first person that Googled automotive photographers in Gloucestershire, and it was an Aston Martin I did my first proper paid photo shoot on, and I've still got the photos. And I was looking at the canvas the other day, because I had all these canvases that he bought. He was trying to sell the car, and he ended up buying so many canvases. But had it have not been for every single one of those people that have engaged with it in some way, it wouldn't exist.
Since winning that award, I know still it's the early days, but since winning that award, how has that affected your business, would you say, both internally and externally?
Internally, it's definitely meant that I've tried pushing it more and tried pushing myself. I've got a few big projects that I'm working on at the moment. Still trying to get a magazine out, because with Christmas and everything else, it's been massively delayed, and I've been trying to make that perfect, try and get it to print. So that's still ongoing, but that one's very nearly over the line, thankfully. But I think it's just given me an extra sense of purpose for it. You know, I think had the award not come through, you know, there's a potential by this Christmas, then I probably would have just, you know, called it a day, you know, but now I've got a reason to carry on with it. I've got something to build from and something to work from. In terms of sort of externally, you know, it's been really good to get the engagement, to say, you know, oh, I won an award for something. You know, from a professional point of view, people are seeing that I've won an award for a website that I've built, and a shop that I've built on the website and the e-commerce platform there. So from sort of, I guess, a job perspective, that's been brilliant. From the business point of view, you know, it's been something to talk about. That's not, here's a photo of a show I went to, or, you know, here's some photos of this latest holiday, or whatever it was. You know, it's actually kind of given some what's the word? I can't think of the word. It's gone. It's totally gone. It was right on the tip of my tongue. You know, some gravitas to what I'm doing with it. You know, it's a legit business with a legit award. I'm doing all this work. I can, from I do a lot of automotive marketing support as well, design copy work, that kind of thing, just to kind of have some B2B side of the business, which is kind of the more profitable side than the photography for the customer side. And it said, well, actually, I can build a website that's really good, clearly, because I won an award for it. And it's given that kind of kudos as well. So it's had probably more intangible effects on what we've done, if that makes sense, rather than something you can physically hold.
As an award winner, would you recommend Business Awards UK to other businesses?
Of course I would. Of course I would. No, in all seriousness, I genuinely would recommend it. I mean, it's been really nice for me to have an opportunity to do this and actually talk about the business and where it's kind of come from. Is sort of over the last week while I've been prepping for it, has actually caused me to sit down and say, well, actually, how far have we come with this? And what's the journey? What's the story? Refocus how that's going to move forward, but also it's provided a kind of good marketing opportunity in a way, because now I've kind of cemented the story in terms of something that kind of makes sense. It's a bit more legible. This is the story, this is how it works, and this is where it's going. Whereas before I was kind of like, well, yeah, it was kind of an accident, and then you kind of move on and you just talk about what you're doing right now. But actually, people buy from people, and people have stories, and stories is where most marketing comes from. So for that point of view, yeah, it's been really good, and things like this, and the exposure, the story that you guys wrote was at Yahoo News. The first thing I did was take the link, send it to my mom, my dad, my gran, my aunt, like everybody who would listen, like, oh my gosh, I'm on Yahoo News. There's was it Business Insider or something as well. There's a few other sort of big name news places, and I would never have got a story on Yahoo News. I got one in the Gloucestershire Live. There's Gloucestershire Echo back then. Once, I've been in a few magazines for the actual photography in part of a feature, but I've never actually been. It's never been about 92. So that's been really good, and I'd recommend it for that reason.
What else would you say? What is the next big step for yourself and 92 Automotive?
That's a very difficult question. So there are a few things that I've got sort of in the pipeline. The magazine is obviously in its second year now, this one, and then for Christmas the third one will be launching. So it's a yearly magazine. It's got everything that 92 has been doing over the last 12 months. So the awards will be in the next one. So that comes out around Christmas digitally, and then it's normally February for the print version, but this one's obviously run on because there's been a lot going on already this year in my normal job, and then obviously in this as well. So it's taking a little bit longer than it should, but I will get there. But I've also sort of started looking at a way of getting some support from the university locally. So with an internship student as well, to come on and try and get some fresh thoughts, fresh ideas, and kind of build the business in that way as well, but also to be able to support a student and say, this is how marketing works. I've learned from this business, I'm letting you learn from it. It's completely risk-free. If you make a mistake, don't worry about it, just tell me. So I've got that sort of going on at the moment. I do a bit of mentoring with some students as well, and sort of I started to offer some form of work experience to sort of say, look, I've learned, you can learn, let's work on it together, and use it for what it was intended, as a training platform. So that's kind of one sort of big step, because I've never offered anything like that before. So that's been a massive learning curve. I've also got a few bits sort of coming up in terms of what I want to do with it. I kind of want to do a bit more freelance, sort of the marketing support, that kind of thing, more regularly. That's something that I'd like to bring in. I have just recently qualified as a racing driver, so I'll be taking 92 hopefully at some point, might be in the next 5 years or so, and maybe it might have its own team, perhaps, we'll see. So at least then I can enjoy driving, fixing and taking pictures of the cars. I don't know if I'm going to do all of that at the same time, but something a bit different. So I've got a few things I'd like to do with it. Whether the race team will go ahead, we'll see. Probably not.
Oh, that is a lot. It seems that you're ready to do, but I think you're more than capable of doing it. Sounds like you are very much ready for it, which is fantastic. I hope to see you at future racing events with 92 Automotive and get to see that name. That'd be very, very cool. But thank you so much for joining us today, Mel. It's been an absolute pleasure. If people want to find yourself or they want to find 92 Automotive, where can they find you?
So they can find me on the website. So that's 92.biz. It's on the corner. I'm not entirely sure which corner, this corner, that corner. It's over there. I will eventually get that right. The mirror camera is really helpful sometimes. There's also Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. It's all 92 Automotive. So 90 the word, 2 the number, and then Automotive, all one word. And there is a YouTube channel. I think that's under the same name as well. There's only a couple of videos on there at the moment because I've got quite a backlog of filming left to do, and editing. So yeah, there'll be some more videos coming up on that once the magazine's done. Sort of plan myself into that for a bit. So yeah, that's probably everywhere. I've got an email address as well, info@92.biz. And yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. We'll make sure to link those in the description below. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, Mel. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really good fun. Thanks.